I want to talk about mentality of coaching. So Carl Reed, friend of the show, he's been on this show, he's been on JB's show as well. He wrote an article talking about the Shiloh Sanders case and kind of breaking that down. But in that article, he kind of talks about Deion, and it says he hasn't left his office, hasn't left the building since fall camp. I'll go ahead and read it here. He says, but if Deion Sanders has shown you one thing in his life, it's when you target him, he's always ready to pick it off and go the other way. When I talked to him last night, he told me he hasn't been home since camp started. He has slept in his office every day and is focused on work. No matter what is said outside the building, he knows that winning is mandatory. It is the only way to silence the critics. In football, no matter where you play or where you coach, noise is everywhere. The chat doesn't matter, only the results. You have to bear down on whatever is in front of you on game day. Coach JB, I kind of just want to get your thoughts on that. Deion, having he's grinding in fall camp, and he's very bought in. Carl Reed with obviously very high words about him. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, that's the profession, man. That's the head coaching job title. Like, that's what it is. I think, even at JUCO, I stayed in the office, most nights. Like, it's not people don't realize, no matter what level, if you're fully invested in the job. High school, I was the same way as I was in junior college, as I was as a D2 quarterback coach, as I was in the Arena League. I was there. And I was always that guy. And if I wasn't the head coach, guess what? I was the head coach of my position that wanted to be a head coach or aspired to be. So I did the same things as they would. So investment is number one. It seems like he's invested. If he's invested, then hopefully he's doing all that stuff towards the staff right about now. This is stuff that you cater towards the staff as far as getting them better, evaluating them, etc., putting them in the right place at the right time with their position groups and rooms. So I would assume that's what he's doing if he really is there all night. And then because there's nothing really to do with talent. Your talent's there. The talent's there. Now I got a schedule that I've created. Our coordinators have scripted those schedules out. These are the segments we do. This is what I want to see filmed. This is what I want to see with the coaches. This is what I want to see by the coaches. This is what we do after practice. This is what I want to see from each coach's notes. I want to watch the film with each staff, each coordinator, and then I'll watch it with certain guys. I'm probably focusing on the DB room since that's my professional niche. I'm going to go over there and be harder on those guys as Nick Saban was, as I am with coordinators or on the offensive side with the quarterbacks. Each coach has its own niche, what they played, and it kind of caters to what they played, and that's kind of how it works. That's why this whole Flores and Tua thing is kind of weird because Flores was a defensive coach. Defensive coach players like Flores, everyone I know, and now you got an offensive guy that don't like him. So it's like Deion, he's probably with DBs. Like, this is just what it is. Matt would be with the O and D line more. It just is what it is. I'd be with the QBs a little more. But we walk around everywhere, and that's probably what Deion's doing, being in the office as long as he is, and that's just what the profession actually entails. And maybe let's just say Deion wasn't this way last year, and he is this way this year. And we don't know who he was. He could have been there every day last year too. Doesn't necessarily equate to wins and losses, by the way, just because you put the hours in. But the fact is, maybe he's said, you know what, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and it takes longer now, and I've learned that, and now I'm in here doing these things so he's making his time worth the time being there is what my point is. He's actually saying, all right, I stayed last year too. No one really knows this shit because I was the head coach, but we went 4-8. This year I'm going to take the same time, but I'm going to do X, Y, Z with that time this year. People don't realize until you're sitting in this chair what the fucking job really entails. So you got to only do it with hands-on gloves, and he's probably learning it and getting more experience day to day, year to year as a head coach. And you may not see great results until year 3 or 4. I mean, it is what it is. But he's learning, obviously, on the job, and that's the best way to learn.
And I agree wholeheartedly. Like, look, you got to set the example. You don't necessarily have to sleep there every night and shit, but I'm telling you, when you're the first one there and the last one gone, everyone sees it. So it's, once again, I've said this several times, but this is like the last dance for the Sanders family together. And I think that it's an incredible opportunity for them. And when big man is setting the tone and leading the way that he leads, everybody sees it. Everybody has to push a little bit harder if Coach Prime is setting the tone the way he is. So the same way Coach JB set the tone, you either match it or you walk. So it's no different at my business. The way I coach it, all my guys, like that's the way it works. So I personally think that Coach Prime is setting himself up for greatness here. So, you know, if it doesn't work out, it's definitely not because of a lack of effort. But again, like Coach JB said, just because it doesn't work once doesn't mean it won't work in the long run. So that's the beauty and curse of football, is you can really struggle, and then one day it just clicks, and you can really think that you've like overcome all these obstacles, and then one day just fall off a cliff or get injured, and all of a sudden you have to start over. So, you know, football is a reps game, bro. It's all about the reps. It's about getting reps. So,
and as a coach, Matt, it ain't about me. It's about us.
Yeah, it's got to be an us thing.
That's what the acronym should be. That was my staff acronym. That was my staff motto. That was my staff mission statement. It ain't about me. It's about us. And at the end of the day, I'll get the blame for the losses, and I also get the wins on my record. But you, as assistants, are the ones that actually make this guy sit in this chair succeed, because he doesn't succeed without a hell of a fucking staff, and that's just
that's my thing. Is like, even back to the Flores thing. This is the last thing I'll say because I got to go, and I appreciate you coming on, Coacher. A motivated player that will run through a wall for you because he knows you care about him will let you coach him really hard. Mm-hmm. He'll let you coach him hard. But if you just tell him he's a piece of shit all the time, why would I sacrifice me for you if you don't even like me? Like, you got to pour into your players if you expect them to sell out for you.
Yeah. And my thing is, like, we weren't there. We don't know the thing. We're going by his rules. Flores hasn't came out and said anything. I would like to see if he comes out. I probably won't, especially being blackballed maybe. He probably won't even comment, but I would like to see if he doesn't say, man, I didn't do that. I was just trying to get this guy going. What if that was the thing? And see what I'm saying? That's why I hate
the conversation started.
Yeah.
At least this starts the conversation, so we'll see.